Hello, everyone. This is Jerome Waddle, and today's presentation is about mystical experiences and poses a question to you. Have you ever had a mystical experience? Before we get into the presentation, let's take a few minutes to settle in and suspend temporarily what we may think we know or have formed opinions about the mystical experience, and look to see, hear, and feel with a freshness about it. So let's open a portal to access our capacities for courage, compassion, communion. Gently close your eyes and take several breaths, and exhale the day's residues away. And on the inhale, invite in your ability to listen to the soul. What do you see, hear, or feel that the soul is asking of you at this time? So gently come back in on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And open your eyes to the here and now. Thank you. As we explore a higher invisible intelligence and guide that is described in the Book of Composition, and to know that innate capacity is available to everyone and has been accessed and described from the dawn of humanity. In today's presentation, I'll present the recent work from the Institute of Noetic Sciences, from a groundbreaking study I participated in with them during April and May of this year, 2021. The Institute of Noetic Sciences was founded by astronaut Edgar Mitchell, who experienced in space the awe and transformation that shifted and expanded his consciousness to what's called the unity effect, when he realized that the universe was a living organism and we humans are all interconnected as part of it and with it. His mission in the Noetic Institute since that time has been trying to figure out how to convey that message so that if enough humans have this experience, they will be able to fully understand how fragile the earth is and respect it as our friend that supports human life, and to recognize that we need a new vision and common goals we can agree upon, despite our individual differences and cultures. Their latest video release is called the Edgar Mitchell Overview Effect VR Experience. For people that have a virtual reality headset or a YouTube non-virtual experience is available, and I'll list that in the description. Edgar Mitchell did find out that he experienced what is called Savikalpa Samadhi in Hindu and yogic philosophy. Savikalpa Samadhi is one of several levels or stages of Samadhi, which is a state of bliss or complete concentration when the yogi has realized the nature of the true or higher self. So let me share an experience of what I would call a Savikalpa Samadhi experience that I had, keeping in mind that while similar, each person's experience will be unique to them. Imagine you're in total blackness, and you find yourself in a comforting bubble of silky blackness, tumbling into an abyss. No fear, feeling supported as you start tumbling your body. Your body is the color of violet. You notice a tiny spark in the darkness, and fascinated, you swim towards it like a moth to a flame. You gently touch the spark with your hand, and there's an explosion of golden light, and you become that. Afterwards, when you come back to earth ground, you see the world in a luminous state. Everything is connected in love. You see that soul spark in others' eyes, and you are transformed. I painted a picture of the experience. And here's a picture of me after the experience. I was 35 years old. Back in 1985, I attended a 3-day retreat conducted by Stanislav Grof and his wife, Christina. Stanislav was the founder of transpersonal psychology, and his wife, Christina, was founder of the Spiritual Emergency Network. Stan, as we called him, defined 2 forms of mystical spiritual experiences. The first of these is the experience of the immanent divine, and is characterized by subtly but profoundly transformed perception of your everyday reality. A person having this form of spiritual experience sees people, animals, plants, and inanimate objects in the environment as radiant manifestations of a unified field of cosmic creative energy. He or she has a direct perception of the immaterial nature of the physical world and realizes that the boundaries between objects are illusory and unreal. This type of experience of reality has a distinctly numinous quality and correspond to Spinoza's De Ser Natural, or nature as God. Using the analogy with television, the experience would be likened to a situation where a black and white picture would suddenly change into one in vivid living color. Or, like in the classic movie, The Wizard of Oz, when Dorothy looks out the open door and the movie shifts from the sepia environment when she is in canvas to a living color when she steps out into Oz. When that happens, much of the old perception of the world remains in place, but is radically redefined by the addition of a new dimension. The second form of experience, that of the transcendent divine, involves manifestation of archetypal beings and realms of reality that are ordinary, transphenomenal, that is, unavailable to perception in the everyday state of consciousness. In this type of spiritual experience, entirely new elements seem to unfold or explicate, to borrow terms from David Bohm, to another level or order of reality. When we return to the analogy with television, this would be like discovering, to our surprise, that there exist channels other than the ones we have been previously watching, believing that our TV set only had one channel. So this leads me to the Noetic study I participated in. They have scoured the existing knowledge and assembled a comprehensive list of reported experiences through time and grouped them into key noetic factors called a noetic signature that will enable you to look at and report what factors you may experience or have experienced, and to help individuals discover and apply their unique noetic signature for their lives and for greater purpose in the world. While I know that categorizing such things is counter to our beliefs that in the whole scheme of things we are all one in love, it's important to note the fact that we have different unique traits and gifts to contribute to the whole. We should also be mindful that the factors can serve as a framework to help people understand that mystical attributes are real human experiences that connect us with the soul, source, or our higher intelligence. Also note that you have many of these factors and combinations that will become clearer as I move through them. So be patient as I go through the list, and I'll try my best to keep it moving along. A detailed listing that includes the source material for each factor will be in the description. Factor 1, inner knowing, is about general inner knowing, intuition, and has 3 buckets or subcategories. This is a general inner knowing that William James referred to when he described noetic experiences. It's a state of knowledge separate from our intellect. This knowingness comes with a sense of authority that is truth. These experiences are also often challenging to describe in words. Within Factor 1 are the subcategories emotions, feeling in the body, and knowing in the mind. In knowing through emotions, you feel or experience others' emotions, regardless of their distance from you. These emotions may tell you things about other people, places, or times. You might often say, "I feel your emotions." Emotional inner knowing goes beyond ordinary empathy, where you relate to someone else's emotions. A historical term, sometimes used to describe emotional inner knowing, is called clairempathy. The next factor is feeling in the body. You sense information about people, places, and situations in your physical body. Information you access in this way could not be known through your traditional 5 senses. You might often say about your inner knowing, "I just feel it," or "I have a gut feeling or a hunch about that." The historical term for this sense is clairsentience. And the third subfactor is knowing mentally. You know when something is true about people, places, or situations that could not be known or inferred by rational thought. You might often say about your inner knowing, "I just know it." A historical term for this sense is claircognizance. So numerous controlled experiences have explored the nature of inner knowing, including those noetic experiences described as gut feelings, intuitive hunches, and psychic. So even within among these subfactors, you could be high in 1 or 2 or 3, or you could be high in 2 and 1 in low. So in my scores, I was high in knowing through emotions and knowing mentally, but I was about halfway about the feeling in the body. So the next factor, factor 2, is called embodied sensations. Your body, physical body, gives you specific sensations, alerting you that you're accessing noetic information. This is different from feeling in the body because it is a very particular sensation that shows up. For example, you may experience sensations like heat or cold, goosebumps, smells, visions, tastes, sounds, dizziness or tingles, vibrations, electricity in your body when you're accessing noetic information. The body, as a sensor or receiver of noetic wisdom, is well known and studied. The most prominent studies are the distant mental interactions with living systems, called DMILS. In some of the studies, a sender is asked to direct their focused attention towards a receiver or to withdraw that attention. Various body changes to the receiver has been measured in this study, like signals from skin activity, blood volume, activation, different parts of the brain, brain waves, and heart rate. So analysis of this study has shown that when a sender directs the attention toward the distant person, it does influence the receiver's physiological state. Factor 3, physical sensations from other people. You experience physical sensations in your body that are not your own, but belong to others, like pain, heat, cold. The factors differ from feeling in the body and embodied sensations because you perceive that you're actually feeling another person's physical symptoms. For example, one person was driving with a friend. Suddenly, their left knee started hurting, even though they hadn't had any problems with this part of their body before. They asked their friend how their knees were. The friend replied that their left knee was still hurting after a procedure that they had had. Some have labeled these experiences telesomatic. They are described as typically unhealthy or harmful physical symptoms shared by people at a distance. Factor 4, inner knowing through touch. Your sense of touch is one way you access noetic information. Some people can touch an object and gain knowledge from it, or learn about people who owned it or were near the object. Historically, the term used to describe this ability is psychometry. While much research was conducted in the late 1800s and 1900s, little research has been conducted recently. I went to a psychic one time and took a picture of my grandfather, and she was able to tell me some things about my grandfather, and she had no way of knowing. Some people use rings, jewelry. There's all sorts of things through touch. Factor 5, inner voice, apparent communication with non-physical beings. Or noetic information comes to you through an inner voice or from apparent communications with non-physical beings, such as deceased people, spirit guides, or other entities. These experiences have been called clairaudience, mediumship, and channeling, and are receiving growing interest among mental health researchers who are reframing these experiences as normal instead of being signs of pathology. Apparent communication with the deceased is a widespread phenomenon, with 25 to 53% of people in global studies saying they had felt and have contact with the dead. Factor 6 is knowing the future. You can access noetic information about events in the future. Numerous laboratory studies have shown that people can know the future both consciously and unconsciously. Others have explored precognitive experiences in everyday life. Factor 7, knowing others' minds. You access noetic information from other people's minds, in the vernacular called telepathy. Many studies have demonstrated telepathic connections in everyday life through experimental methods relying on email, text messaging, and the telephone. Other studies have found clear evidence for telepathy using mild sensory deprivation techniques. It also reminded me of an experience I had, and one of my coworkers who I just met, and we'd had some conversations, and I had this vision of her as a little girl getting out of a black Cadillac sedan, and I asked her about that, and she verified that that was true, and that She had always had a penchant for Cadillacs, and she actually drove a Cadillac. Factor 8, knowing through dreams. You access noetic information in dreams. Numerous laboratory studies, many called dream ESP experiments, have shown that people can access noetic information while they are asleep. Factor 9, affecting your personal world. Noetic information affects your perception of yourself. You likely use noetic information for decision making and self healing, awareness, or introspection. For example, you may tune in to noetic wisdom to help you make decisions in your life. Numerous studies have explored the positive impact these experiences can have on people's lives. And factor 10, visualization, manifestation. You use visualization or mental imagery to receive noetic information. You may also use visualization to intentionally manifest things in your life and in the physical world. Research has shown that our intention has an influence on the physical world, from affecting machines in the laboratory to improving benefits of chocolate, tea, plant growth, healing effects on cells, animals, humans. Explorations in the parapsychological research have also been done. While the effects are small, we see that our mental intention can increase the probability of specific desired outcomes. And factor 11, healing. You use noetic information for healing. Others report that they have benefited from your healing intentions. Experiments where positive intention is directed at humans, animals, plants, cells have found small but significantly positive results. Energy medicine techniques such as therapeutic touch, Reiki, have also been shown to positively affect conditions like pain, cancer, mental health symptoms, and hypertension. So if we go back and look at the chart, you can see that we have all these factors. And if you kind of assess and look at this, you could see that they're almost related to trait specific things. So some people are visual, some people are auditory, some people are more into the body type things. So it's kind of like a little roadmap, only it's it's not the whole territory, but as I said, it can give you an idea, or if you're talking to someone that's had these experiences, it can be a way to say, hey, that's okay. That's what you felt was your unique experience. And it also fits in with some other experiences that have been mapped out. So the purpose of learning about mystical experiences is they're not new. They've been around for ages, and we're now at the place where we can talk about them. Whereas before, there's really not too much talked about. It's kind of kept under the rug, so to speak. But we've seen a massive interest in the subject just because of the fact that we can now discuss it. And we have a lot of resources at our fingertips and can look at it. So thank you, everyone, for listening. And now let me hear about any of your mystical experiences.